Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the lecture for the month of May 2015. That looks like a hot mic. It looks like a hot mic. We got a hot mic, people. Whoa. It's called Opposing Forces. What I'm going to be talking about today is it's an issue that I talk a lot about in let's bring it down. 80%. There we go. I talk a lot about this when I'm doing critiques, and I talk about the net effect. I talk about how a character is moving and how the forces within the pose or within the body are sometimes fighting against each other. I apologize for these little bars that are showing up. I think it's a new thing. It shouldn't affect the lecture at all. It's just my webcam's being a little bit crazy right now. I talk about how the character movement sometimes, like within the pose, is opposed to the movement of the character as a whole. Or sometimes what I talk about is how the net effect, basically, if you add up all of the movement and all of the forces in the shot, then the total gain is like only a little bit this way or a little bit that way, or it's being completely canceled out, or it's doing something that might be unexpected or unintended. Okay, and so that's what we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to do a just like a little quick demo of the anim topic with tempo. Okay, and we'll just see how far we get. Man, I'm really freaking out how bad the video is. All right, it's time for a new webcam. I'm going to have to spring for a new webcam now. Anyway, so let's take a look. We have Bloke here. You guys know Bloke, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him basically do this sort of like cartoony motion where he lifts a hammer off the ground so quickly that the momentum of the hammer basically pulls him off the ground. That's the idea. All right, and then he's going to basically slam it down after that. So it's going to be like this lift and then slam the hammer. And it's almost going to be timed exactly like that. Almost exactly like that. So if I was going to do my little performance with tempo, it would be wham, like that. And I want there to be, the opposing forces are the pose with the hammer coming down. And I need that to look so powerful that it actually looks like the thrust of that hammer moving downwards is what lifts him off the ground even further. Okay, so basically it's going to look like this. Let's grab a helper object. Helper elves. You know what that's from? 10 points if you know what that's from. Helper elves. Wait till December 25 for Helper Elms. That's an AMV. AMV. Okay, it's from Ernest Saves Christmas. Don't judge me for being able to quote that movie. I was a young boy, and what else can I say? So remember, anim 48 to 72 frames. We're going to do our normal thing. Enable step keys. We're going to block this in, and we're just going to put in the moments that we need. We're not thinking about the poses, we're thinking about the moments. So what are the moments? Well, there's going to be just a little bit of anticipation downwards, not too much. And then the very top of that swing upwards. Okay? The very top of that moment. Let me just make sure that I have this sized correctly. Okay, good. All right. And then he hangs up there for some indeterminate amount of time right now. okay? But he hangs up there, and then there's a moment where it's almost like a little bit of anticipation in air, right? So he goes upwards just a little bit more, and then slams this down, okay? And the slamming it down even might even catapult him a little bit higher. But notice how I kind of just switched this from being his body to being the hammer. With tempo, it almost doesn't matter like what your helper object can kind of like change on the fly, sort of, to a certain extent. I mean, not you can't change like frame by frame, but you can change it from being like it started as his body, and now it's his hammer, and his body's going to come up. So that's the first thing I would say is the key to learning how the forces in your shot. See, now the focus is off. This is wacky. I don't think it actually does that freak out thing while I'm focusing it. So I think it has something to do with the focus is screwing up the camera. See, when I let go, I think it's going to start again. Yep, see, there you go. Anyway, true color, turn that off. Does that fix it? Video settings. Getting a lot of fun things going on right now. I don't think they keep on using the word exposure. I don't think that word means what you think it means. Microsoft. Yeah, that's not it. Anyway. Looks a little saturated, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm just gonna leave it default. Anyway, so that's the first step to figuring out like where your forces are going to be and what you're going to have to contend with. Is actually, as you're working, starting to take just a peek at things like the movement of the helper object and what you've determined in that moment that helper object kind of represents, right? Because at first it was a body, and then it's the hammer. So I need to think to myself, okay, well, if it starts off right now as the body and then it's the hammer, well, then what am I actually saying in switching it? I'm saying the force of the hammer coming down is the force that I want to be important in that moment. In that moment, okay? So in other words, when I add up all the forces in the shot, the hammer should switch as the most important force, and everything else that's happening in that moment shouldn't reduce or take away so much from the hammer that it's not the most important force. Okay, so let's just look at this real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the dope sheet. Okay. All right. And we're just going to add probably just one or two more moments, probably to define the jump. Let's have this. And let's just have this just a tad higher. And then exaggerate that just a little bit. And then let's have this pop just a little bit off the ground. Okay. Now, what's the workflow with tempo? What are we doing right now? We are not going to judge the result. We are not going to try to predict what these changes that we just did are going to do. We're going to develop our instincts. We're going to develop our instincts. I'm not listening to anything right now. Why are those on? We're going to develop our instincts by making instinctual changes, then viewing the result. All right? Instinctual change, and let the results speak to you. Very, very fun way to animate. My favorite way now. Okay? So let's watch this. Whoa. It's playing backwards. That was weird. And it's playing at 12 FPS. Now, what's happening, remember, what's happening is this is his body flying up, and then this is the hammer slamming down. His body is still up in the air. I want his body to fly up into the air and get that hammer back, and then, bam, the hammer slams down, but his body is still up there. It's just that the helper object has switched from showing us the moment of his body, the moments that pertain to his body, and the moments that pertain to the hammer. The body is still involved in this, but at this moment right here, boom, this is the moment for the hammer. This is not the body's moment. This is the hammer's moment. Okay, so it's very important to remember. Basically, we're looking at the body, okay, and it switches. All of a sudden, we're looking at the hammer, okay, and so the body's still doing its thing, but where these forces oppose each other. This is what I want to show you how to manage, okay? Where these forces oppose each other is an important part. So let's really quickly, using this helper, I like the timing, frankly. The whole thing might be a little big, so I'm just going to group it and shrink it down just a little bit. There we go. But frankly, I really like the timing. But you know, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't just play around just a little bit. Let's just do a little bit of play here. Okay? Let's just have it hang in the air just a frame longer. Let's try that out. 2 frames longer. Actually, that's not bad. And then get up there 1 frame quicker. Get up there 2 frames quicker. Actually, I like that better. Let's try it. Let's actually, you know what? Let me look at what it was before, one more time. And now here, yeah, it is better. It is better. Okay, so here we go. Let me turn off the skeletons. Okay, let's just really quickly hob him together a hammer. And remember, this is about body mechanics. This is not about, you know, this hammer prop, right? Clearly, it's not about this hammer prop. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. This is a gigantic hammer. So we'll go to the very beginning. Add this to its own layer and then template it. And add this to its own layer and reference it. Okay. Not actually referencing, it's just making it a reference display. All right. It's weird. Maybe I should fix my camera so that I'm looking that direction. You know what I mean? Like, flip it like this. So now when I'm looking over here, I'm actually looking like at the thing. Although that's a little bit weird, because now I'm freaking out because I'm flipped. All right, here we go. One of the nice things about FKIK spines is you get a kind of like a quick way to make a spine shape. It's probably the quickest that you can make a spine shape is with an FKIK spine. But by golly, you can get those those controls counter animating against each other so badly. Oh my lord, they can so like instantaneously become like tangled up with each other. Not really going to concern myself too much with what's going on here with these things, because this is not a posing demonstration. This is a force demonstration. Mike Matizzi, if you've never seen his book called Force, Dynamic Life Drawing for Animators, you should check it out. It's a great book. It is a incredible resource for people wanting to get better very quickly at thumbnailing, especially if you are working with tempo. I would say Force is even more applicable now for you, seeing as the emphasis has been taken off of posing so much that you can kind of like get all of your poses really squared away, and then I don't know that while you're timing your shot with tempo, that you're doing like an amazing amount of like setup to take like a foundation that will sort of like bear the burden of those amazing poses. I don't know. There's something about animating with confidence that supervisors and directors and whatever can just like smell it. Like they know when you like threw away a whole bunch of ideas, and what they are seeing is kind of like a watered down result of all of that stuff. They know it. They can just sense it. let us, what was I doing? I am just going to key everything here. And let me just constrain this real quick. Okay. A little bit of anticipation. Now, remember this trick. Turn off. Grab all the controls, and now just use the comma key to just set a key on each one of these things. Now I don't have to guess as to where those keys go. It's a little pain, just a little pain to like fix the posing of stuff a little bit. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. It's fine. So let's anticipate just a little bit. Okay, right here, he's jumping up, right? He's jumping up, and let me zero all this stuff. He's jumping up, and the idea is, let's get it so that his body is doing a huge amount of like, not contortion, but enough of a pose change where we feel a huge amount of that energy on this, okay? So I'm not worried about what this looks like really overall as a pose. I want to show you the handoff, the moment where I set my helper object to be the hammer and the body sort of gives up control, gives up the spotlight, and the opposing force of the hammer kind of takes over. Okay, so I'm going to revisit this. This is not my pose, but we have to be careful because in the very next frame, okay, the hammer is going to start coming up, and we're going to start running into problems. Why is that? Why are we going to start running into problems? Well, this is a big shape, isn't it? This is a very big shape, and we're going to have trouble making it so that the body is the strong force moving, as opposed to the hammer this whole time, aren't we? Can't help myself but offset these feet just a little bit. And let's cheat it just a hair to camera. Okay, see what I'm talking about? Maybe not yet. Maybe not yet, but you will see. Okay, and now this is where he's basically at the apex. Okay, but this hammer really needs to be cranked back. And let's put it over the opposite shoulder so his head isn't getting cut off. Like that. Okay. And then here's the pivotal moment, and this is where you need to start thinking. This is the moment of anticipation. Okay, anticipating the, as you can see the sphere right here. I know it's light colored. Maybe I should template it instead. Reference. No, that's not going to work. Let's just keep it templated. Okay, so this is the key moment here, because on this frame we need to, what I want is this, it's almost as if he's in such, God, look at that, out of focus again. It's almost as if he is in such control of his body that he is able he's in such control of his body that he's able to almost will himself to like rise even further, because anticipation is thought, right? So if you can, just by thinking about it, be in air and then rise a little bit more to get some more power for that slam, well then this is an extremely deliberate moment, isn't it? Okay, and I've shown that in many lectures before. But here's the thing: if he's going to be slamming this hammer down, but his body is going up, opposing that force, then we need to make it so that the hammer takes over as the main force. Now, how do we do that? Within this anticipation, the hammer needs a bigger pose change. So let's do that. Let's check. Let's do that and see what happens. So he was here before, and he's going to rise up just a little bit more. Maybe crank it out. But then this, oh buddy, this is going to go all the way back there. Now I know things are getting a little bit messed up. Don't worry about that. And a little bit of support in his pose. So he just rose up a little bit, a tiny little bit of support in his posing, just a hair, to acknowledge and sort of honor the handoff of that motion. Okay? So he was here before. So as he rose up, and then this moment where it's a huge pose change on the hammer, because the hammer is going to come all the way back down. Okay? Let me do this pose. Let me finish the poses on this part before we look at what the effect has been. Okay, it's going to be crazy. This crazy cartoony thing. Gotta arrange this a little bit better. Just gonna figure out where this needs to be in order to hit the ground. Okay. This is a fun job, isn't it? Where are the other shapers? Where are the spine shapers? Is this a shaper? Oh no. Are there not spine shapers? Alright, we may have to do a little bit of wacky stuff to get this to work. There we go. Just want to make sure I'm watching this control right here. Just trying to make sure that it does travel upwards. It might need to be just a little bit more. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. Actually, let's save it just in case my entire thing crashes. This would be a tragedy to lose right now. I'm always afraid that right when I get a somewhere on a shot, it's right when it's going to crash. That's my fear. I have nightmares about that. Okay. And now I'm going to just copy everything. And then slam, and then his body needs to land again, right? Oops. This is very slapdash. Pardon me. Oh boy. Oh, pardon me. Let's zero this. This thing is supposed to be bouncing a little bit. Getting a little disconnected here, which is actually bound to happen. Probably going to take this instead. And sort of animate backwards out of it. This is not a great way to work. Not a great way, but it is a little bit faster than doing it forwards. So just in the interest of time. Come on now, work with me. Okay, so now we get to go back and we get to look closely at this handoff moment and tweak and adjust what we feel the where the forces are working. Okay, so let's take a look. All right. Now let's do this. Our helper object is not going to help us anymore. We're past the point where we can get more information out of our helper, so we're going to hide it. All right, now let me just make sure. I'm not actually convinced that I'm seeing 24 frames a second, so let me also turn off my nerves. Let's just watch this a little bit and observe just let the feeling wash over us. Let the feeling... Let's get those feels. Okay, here we go. Okay. So this is where I would start. The movement, if I'm watching, let's pretend that this is the camera angle. I'm not going to make a different camera angle than this. Okay? The movement of the hammer, it has to be, it absolutely, unequivocally, it has to be smooth enough on this motion up to here that the explosive motion of the body, the anticipation, the bam, the flying up right there is the driving force in comparison, okay? And then once it gets up to here, that slowing of the body is opening the door for a new force to take over, all right? And that little bit of extra oomph of anticipation upwards past this point will be nothing. It'll pale in comparison to the hammer cranking back here and slamming down. Okay, but what I'm observing right now is disregarding, sort of the weakness of the poses. What I'm observing is a little bit of a lack of support in this first part in terms of defining what those forces are, meaning I need to go in and I need to add one, maybe two more keys in between all of these things. And these really are kind of breakdowns and not in-betweens, but I need to add at least one or two frames that further refine and define those moments. As you can tell, I skipped breakfast today and I am eating Altoids as if they are nutritious food. Altoids and coffee. I'm getting all the energy I need from sugar and caffeine right now. But that's how I do it. That's how we do. All right? So let's go in and let's make that change real quick, okay? It's right here, isn't it? First off, let's define this as slightly. I'll come back to that camera angle, but let's define this as slightly less developed. Okay, unfortunately we developed that too much. We developed that force too much. And this is also probably too developed. Okay, so we need something right here, and we need something probably right here. He's also most likely not jumping high enough. Or fast enough. So let's make this a little bit more of a plateaued, you know, slow in. I'm going to look at my graph editor for that hint. I'm going to just show selected. And this is kind of hard to see, so I'll just quickly turn off step preview and see where we're going here. Let's just bring this up a little bit. And I'll grab all of these, show all, back to stepped. Just one frame sooner. Show all. All right, let's do it with the, we want to see the scene summary because I have no idea why. Wow, isn't that crazy? Look at that. Isn't that nuts? How come I also can't select in this? Huh. Weird, it's like there's a driven key there or something. Or for some reason I can't grab everything. Alright, no matter. I guess I can do it right here. I just wanted it one frame. Just one frame, people. Gosh, is that so much to ask? My lord. Okay. So we need something right here that is going to be just the sort of emotional support. Not emotional. I don't know why I'm making this things up now. Sort of the support of the force. All right. So I really want it to be, you know, okay. Because what we're really looking at right now is just how this hammer is developing. So it should be like right around here, according to this camera. So I wonder what that will be. I think it might be too far. Actually not far enough. Ain't that some ish? Oh, that's so much better. Oh my god. Okay. Hold on a second. Just before we do anything, we need to define, do the exact same thing on this key, and now this is the slowest. This is just a breath of development. Oh my god, it's just a breath. That's probably still too much. Just a little support in the pose. And then this is basically. This is just the end. It's just oop, oop, like that. We want there to be just enough movement that we see that that was basically the end of that smooth movement, and then he puts the, fires that powder keg or whatever. I don't know why what a weird mixed analogy. What if there was one more right here? What if we say, let's put 3 frames before that explosion. Let's just put a breath. Just a breath. All right, I'm going to go way close. Just that much. Does it make a difference? Probably. You see how little I'm doing here? Just go so small. Just like that. All right. Look at the difference here. Oops. See that? Okay. Here we go. All right, let's watch. Oh, so much better. So much better. Okay. Now that the handoff has happened, now we look at the force on the other side. All right? So he slams this down, and it's got to be that fast. It's got to be across one frame. I would draw a streak, or you know what I mean? Like, for instance, this is fun to do sometimes. Oops. Uh-oh, where'd it go? This is all I wanted to do. There we go. That's all I wanted to do. Just have a little fun with it, you know? Just have a little fun, guys. Anyway, that was a fun little tangent. Anyway, but so it has to be that fast. It just has got to be. But what I'm going to use to make this force seem like it is so much that it is like propelling him is I got to play with how much, and this is a small adjustment, but it's important. I'm going to play with how much his body is moving off of this motion. So you see how his butt goes up in the air right on the throw, right on the hit. All right, that much, but then it starts going straight down. What if we actually had, instead of it going straight down, what if we had this? We grab everything, we move it, give ourselves like, I don't know, like 4 extra frames. And right here, we actually get him even higher off of this hit. And then instead of uncurling him so fast, we actually have him, as he's falling, the legs keep on going. Like that. Okay? Now this is probably now ending up too quick in terms of him being able to get back into pose. Probably, I would say. But the idea is to take it just as far as you can so that there's interest in the pose. The opposing force is still the main force is the one that you want to be sort of like observed, but you're using this motion in the opposite direction, this opposing force, to kind of even like show what's going on. All right, let's see if that's any stronger. Gosh, that anticipation is so strong on the hammer hit. I can't get over it. It's so awesome. It's exactly what I had in my mind for the strength of that hammer hit. There's something still wrong with this motion, and I think honestly it's that I haven't gone far enough. Oh no, I know exactly what it is. All right, this is what's happening on the hit is when his butt is moving moving the most. And then we have a little bit of like after motion, but because the net effect is so opposite on that frame, it's being lost. So I need to actually move that moment where his butt goes up to be in reaction to the hammer coming down. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually bring it down. And then the sort of aftermath of that thrust downwards is going to shoot him up in the air. I'm betting that this is what was missing. Let's take a look. Here we go. Oh, that's it. That's it. That's exactly what it needed. Was so what's going on here is that force going down was being too opposed by the butt going up. The butt movement totally lost in that frame, in that moment, because of they were going basically perfectly opposite to each other. What I needed was for there to be this thrust downwards that pushes up the butt later. So almost like a jet engine or like a rocket, blasting that thrust down. It takes a second for that thrust to then create the movement. It's that little delay. Let's just look again. It's that little delay on the bum that really makes it look like that hammer hit is actually as hard as that hammer hit really is. So look at that. We have the body starting this shot, that hammer very unassuming on a smooth, almost linear trajectory up to the apex. Then it takes over. It cranks back and slams and makes the body react accordingly. So that's basically start to finish how you work out your shots opposing forces. Now, things to remember. That helper object, as I was working with it, remember how I was taking the helper object and using it interchangeably for whatever was the strongest force, whatever is actually going to drive the, that heartbeat, that thumping, like energetic rhythm of the shot. It started as the body and then bam, became the hammer. I didn't have to like make a body and a hammer helper object. You'll get to the point where all you care about is just like what's happening that is driving that feeling, that inside your audience's heart feeling, okay? So very important to remember. And then next, I probably should have been working to camera the whole time. Because it's super important to know what your those on-screen positions, what they're actually going to do for you. So just remember to set up your shot cam and work a little bit more to camera than I was, I think. But besides that, this is yet another kind of a walkthrough of tempo. I hope in watching this and seeing this, you are, always a little bit more encouraged to try out tempo, to give it a shot. This is an hour-long lecture, and I think if you ask me, this shot probably would take no longer than maybe a day to completely finish. Basically, all the meat is in there, and doing a 3-second shot in a day, that's pretty much right where you need to be in terms of if you're working in television, high-end TV, low-end TV, you got to be faster than that. But like high-end TV or commercial work, 72 frame shot, being able to bang it, start it one morning and then turn it in, at least for notes or for, a final look the next day. That's kind of right where you need to be. And so I'm not trying to brag or show off or whatever. I'm trying to just encourage you, like if speed is one of your issues, it's almost ironic, but honestly, starting out with something that is completely unrelated to your rig or whatever, your helper object, starting actually kind of like backwards actually shoots you forwards. It's like anticipation in that way. It's like a slingshot. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun. Remember, I am doing this for you guys. I love to hear your feedback. Send me an email or drop me a line. I love to chat about these things. This has been a blast. I'm Kenny Roy. Good luck with your animation. And as always, rock on.